Welcome back. If you're just joining, this is Daybreak on Trust Television. Since the commencement, or since when the end bad governance started gaining traction in Nigeria, Trust TV has done its due diligence by bringing you all of the latest updates and developments, on this issue. And that is the reason why today on the program we're going to be having a senior security expert. He served as an assistant. He served up to the position of Assistant Inspector General of Police, retiring as a senior police officer in the Nigerian Police Force with countless experiences, including serving as a commissioner of police here in the FCT. This means that he has had enough of experience in terms of protest. Right now, AIG Wilson Inalegwu, retired, joins me in the studio. Welcome, AIG.
Yeah, it's a pleasure for me.
I also have to quickly mention that it seems like we are wearing the same uniform this morning, interestingly.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence indeed. But then again, AIG, talking about coincidences that have occurred, no one expected, at least in the beginning, that this was going to become as big as it has become now. That's a coincidence. Another thing is, AIG, you were commissioner here in the FCT, which means you've had your own fair share of ensuring that protests are peaceful and you ensure that there is no breakdown of law and order during this protest. Now, I want you to walk us through the pressure that security agencies usually are under, especially when it gets to massive protests such as this one.
Yeah, of course, when you're in the FCT, this is more or less the headquarters of protests.
Indeed.
And the other area being Lagos because of its population. But I think in FCT, on some days you have to monitor police about 3 to 4 protests at the same time. Some by rival groups, so you try to manage the situation. But by and large, managing protests in the FCT is what the police in the FCT is very much aware of. But the only peculiarity, and I think is important, what try to distinguish that of FCT and other areas is where you have the 3 arms of government fully on ground, and then the organizers, what they try to do, that's why they sometimes lose control. When they think their protest is not gathering traction, they go to some places to pay to bring, and that has been a challenge with managing protests in the FCT, because when you have people that don't even know why they're out protesting, maybe they've gone to some of the neighborhoods to get them. And I think that's what makes it. But the police in the FCT have been very even-handed in handling protests. What is right, the Occupy Nigeria in 2012, I think was professionally managed. There were no violence, and everything was up. All the marches by Wole Seka and his group, even by the former president and Mechanko blocking force headquarters, so many protests, taking control of the roads, I think is what the police and the security agencies in the FCT.
But would you allude the success of those protests to the fact that they had figureheads who directed the protest and, who stood in front to say, we are the leaders of this protest, hold us responsible, if anything happens during these protests? Yeah,
but in every protest, whether they're anonymous or not, of course the security agencies must find ways of identifying who the ringleaders or the leaders are, because there must be intelligence. So what you try to encourage is coordination among security agencies and government agencies, because the government, in situations like this, the instrument of national power is brought to full effect, so that you gather information, intelligence from various agencies. It's all about collaboration and coordination. And in that case, of course, if you've watched television, some people have come out to say, some of them clearly, from the way they ventilate their points, that these are some of the brains behind the scene. And it's not that you're interrogating them, but also important to reach out to, engage such people. So they may not have leadership, but if you go below, you are going to discover who the leaders are. So that shouldn't be too difficult to crack by security agencies.
All right. Yeah, let's now talk about the possibilities of protests getting hijacked and how easy it can be. I was speaking with a lawmaker yesterday, and he said, if you know how easy it is to hijack a protest, you would now understand the reason why, there have to be faces who lead this protest so as to be able to identify, the kind and caliber of people who are in front. These will, in one way or the other, prevent all of these elements, unscrupulous elements, from joining. However, from the security perspective, because of the fact that, of course, a protest is an exercise that is multidimensional and multifaceted. While the protesters are driving home their point, the security agencies are there focused on something entirely different, and that's the security aspect. How easy or how difficult is it for a protest to get hijacked?
I think to that extent you're right. So when people don't want to come forward, because when I talk about coordination, it's not even coordination amongst the security forces or government agencies alone, between the organizers and the security forces, to keep it to the mission they have defined for their protest. Because you must have people you dialogue with to be able to keep the protest in shape. So there are possibilities, and it's very easy to get out of hand, because there are some people who the government may not even know about them, but these people don't want the protest. So they may decide to employ disruptors. And these disruptors, when you are marching peacefully, they can ride motorbike, they can drive vehicles and plow into the crowd and all that. And that's why it's so important that you identify, because that's why if you have Nigerian Labour Congress having their protest, it really gets out of hand, because they work with the security agencies. They have meetings and discuss, these are the rules we intend to carry out our procession, and these are the caliber of people we expect. And so when you are marching alongside them as a police officer or any other security agency, you're able to identify. And once they see any person they believe is not part of that protest, they quickly identify, and such persons are, taken out. So for them to help the country and the security agencies, it's important. They come out. Nobody's going to arrest you because you have the right to peacefully protest. I think the government has eloquently stated that. So that shouldn't cause any panic. But because when you come, it's all about getting your voice heard. It's not about disrupting people, because they are declaring it's about 10 days or so, because the protest has phases. All protests will always start with peaceful protests. And when it starts peacefully, it's going well, nothing happens. It gets to a stage, disruptors come. It gets to a stage, destruction of property. And why do they engage in destruction of property? They want to loot. They want to plunder. And once they have plundered enough, arson, they bomb to consider. So they start peacefully, they get violent, and looting takes place. And once they have looted, they are satisfied, it gets to the critical, the most violent stage, dangerous stage. They begin to cause fire, they begin to kill. So, but when you have alerted the security agencies and they know your mission, you have told them you want to get your voice heard. It shouldn't be about anything else apart from getting your voice heard. You can do that peacefully. But the danger is, if you do not cooperate and collaborate with security agencies as an organizer, you risk the possibility of having disruptors, which could lead to violence. You get a sort of people with other mindset coming to hijack it from you, and the thing assume its own life. Look at what happened in the NSAS. I think the intention was not to attack police barrack. The intention was not to attack businesses, because there were no leadership. So I think, drawing from that lesson, it's important that whoever those people behind the scene who are putting this in place, it's good they come. I think the DSS have identified some of them. Yes, so, but all of us are trying to build a great country, and then in building this, everyone has a role to play. The government has its own role. The people have their own role. The office of the citizen they have their role. The civil society and all of these people, and it's not something they need to get so scared. You come out. But I think from my experience, practical experience in managing this. When you write to us, and we try to have an idea of the number of people you expect, that will determine the deployment we will
of
do.
personnel.
Yes, and I like the NLC will always write to you, come and discuss. Look, we are following this route. But when you just go to Day or wherever place and gather people, give them 500 naira or 1,000,
hired
protesters, and they don't understand, and then you don't even know their background, and then all you see is a problem, and what you want to achieve may not be achieved.
Indeed. Yeah, only experience can give this kind of insight. But then again, there's this popular saying by the police that where your right stops is where the other person's rights, begin.
Yeah, exactly.
But you've seen it all as an Assistant Inspector General of Police. Policing has taken you both within Nigeria, outside Nigeria, and even outside of Africa. What do you think are the peculiarities now, bearing in mind what happened recently in Kenya and what is still happening with that of Nigeria? At least Nigeria has not started. And can you say you could make safe predictions of how it's likely going to take, since some of those who have been commenting on social media have been liking, that of Nigeria to that of Kenya?
Yeah, but I think the slight difference is, I think there have been wide consultations by government, a lot of talking to people, engaging the population in different segments of the population, the religious groups, traditional institutions, government agency, heads of government, and even those agencies engaging the public. That of Kenya, once the tax law was effected, it came just out of the blues. And that, I don't think they didn't quite anticipate. I think that lessons learned is guiding the government, because the president is personally involved in engaging. You see, in dealing with the population, engagement with the public is critical. The president has taken it personally. There were initial challenges with communication by some government officials that were almost going to inflame the situation. But I think the president took leadership by openly engaging with the different groups. And I think it's important. And the lesson for Nigeria, therefore, first of all, that the public is so critical, the office of the private citizen. And so when you give that respect and you get to hear them, you even begin to address those things even before they realize. And then you begin to reduce the tension that is in the land. I think, for what I observe from commentaries and what I read, there seemed to be a de-escalation of the tension that I think was building, because the government is coming out, to engage. We are doing this, we are doing that, we are addressing the issues of hunger, issues of employment, and there are many things for government to address, and it's time for government to address those things. So the lessons learned, and then for the police, it's so critical. The Inspector General of Police for Kenya lost his job, perhaps others along the line. It comes to respect for human rights, it comes to professionalism, the use of proportionate force. And then in doing that, you look at, let me again take you back to the answers. You look at the critical national infrastructure, businesses, that people don't just go and breach them, go and kill people in their homes, go and destroy businesses. So the lesson for security agencies is professionalism, and to keep their mind open and begin to look at critical national infrastructure and make appropriate deployment, and then go engage with the public that, look, you say you are going to have peaceful procession, but if you go and attack filling stations or supermarkets, there are punishments for that. And the security agencies have a job to maintain law and order and contain that situation. And there are consequences, because if you set business ablaze, there is procedure. If you want to stop that rioter, and there is no other way to prevent them from killing people, you are permitted to use lawful minimum force. And so that realization has to be told. But in deployment, the posture of security agencies matter a lot. When they're having peaceful procession, no weapon, not even baton, bare hands. And the senior officers as they march along, they keep engaging them. If you have baton, you hang it. If your belt doesn't have a hook, look for a rope, tie the rope and hang the baton so that your posture doesn't appear intimidating. It doesn't get the public to feel, oh, they are going to shoot us. And then they become agitated and tension begins to build. So the way you deploy, the way you engage with the public, it will go a long way to help. That is not to say you are not going to have your reserve, the critical mass that will intervene rapidly should the situation suddenly change.
Escalate.
And so, but for those, you do a kind of cordon. If you want to create way for traffic, you create way for traffic, and then you deploy a kind of strategy. If you see at Eagles where sometimes we get our elbows hooked, and then we make a line so that we create a place, and those of you don't cross. So you've got to create such a cordon along the street to prevent those who are going about their business and not molested, because it's not compulsory. You don't do it like the enforcement of IPOB and all that. Now, if you don't come out, then you are all that. Everybody has the right, freely associate. I don't want to join. Allow the person. I want to join, and I want to be peaceful. But if you are violent, the law has adequate regulations to deal with it. The Public Order Act, well, I don't know whether it's been suspended by court or whatever, but the court, there are other sections of the Public Order Act that is there, the Penal Code, the Constitution, because even the Constitution guarantees the freedom of right to life, freedom of movement, right to life, also state that when they are suppressing violent riot or demonstration, minimum of force can be used. So these briefings are important. This communication should go out by the relevant security agencies. And this at times like this, they should have a kind of unified system of communication. All the public relation officers of the various agencies should get together so that they can give updates to the public, so that the public is informed, rumor is removed. And then when they get intelligence, they've got to analyze it and then take action. Not to hear from one side, oh, they're already burning. No, there should be a kind of coordination so that you don't just react. So what it costs, when you act, when you are even-handed, and they're not seeing that you're firing at live ammunition, and people are dying, but they're moving like that. And this is the time for them. I know the road safety has body-worn cameras. I think it's good for officers to have body-worn cameras so that when the situation is changing, the actions they are taking can be monitored in case there is a probe, there's an inquiry into the handling of the procession or demonstration by the police. Because I mention the police all the time, because the police is the lead agency on internal security. All others come to support.
Now, so many issues to talk about, but what's most important is protests remain one of the most effective ways that Nigerian citizens have seen to be able to drive home their points, their demands to, the government when it comes to all of these factors that they've brought, to fore. But another thing of note is how some would say Nigerians already have this predisposition about, the Nigerian police, and they are always quick, to jump to conclusion whenever they notice anything. So, people will be passing and probably would witness an argument between the police and a Nigerian, and people are quick to take the side of the Nigerians because, of maybe one bad experience or the other. So how does the police now manage, these predispositions, in addition to manning or at least controlling or maintaining peace in protests that have the tendencies of becoming violent?
Yeah, people are certainly going to have their mindset, oh, that's how the police have been doing. But when on ground you are engaging with the public, there's adequate communication that is going out. People see. Nigerians are smart people. They're not daft. So, of course, they are going to say, oh, we know the police are going to shoot. But this police, you see, they're even drinking water with the protesters.
We saw during NSAS how some of them shared snacks, shared bottles of water.
You see, it's going to happen. But the police leadership, or the security leadership, they have also to try to be courageous. Because imagine yourself, you are the chairman of your local government, and people carry placards, oh, I've made, or whether it's so bad, it's not doing this. You know, it can touch you.
Indeed.
So the security forces should not allow themselves to be stampeded into taking actions that will project them.
It seem political.
Yes. So it's good. You're going to be under pressure. Of course, when you're policing, when they are, oh, what are you doing? Are you part of the? Oh, you are part of the protester. Oh, you are PDP. You are Labour. They have sold you out. Don't be afraid of losing your position if you are doing your work well, but avoid careless talk. Just engage with the. Make sure this time you go through your public order management books, what the stages, what you need to do. But you must understand that when it escalates, you should be able to deal with it. But don't let anybody stampede you into breaching your own standard operating procedures in order to please them. Because assuming that you have over 50,000 people, whoever is in government is going to feel it. Oh, how is the police allow them to do this? No, police did not allow them. Indeed. Police is just trying to maintain a kind of balance, not bending to the left or bending to the right, maintain a balance between the government and the office of private citizen. So that, but in doing that, you are not going to create any way, like I stated in my earlier remarks, for people to take laws into their hands, because where their right stops, the other person's own starts. So you are not going to appear weak. No, you are not going to appear weak. You are going to appear professional. But if somebody carries a dagger and enters the place, quickly the guy is picked up. You've got to use a lot of discretion. You've got to have leaders among your officers that you have deployed. The leader, it could be a constable, it could be a corporal, it could be a sergeant, but such that will be able to appreciate the situation on ground and act wisely with a lot of discretion, because a good leader should have some level of discretion that he can utilize in a way that will not escalate situation. Indeed. But what I'm saying is, I am not saying the security agencies must appear weak. No, they will appear strong, but considerate, professional, respecting human rights, not going above board. But if you carry a weapon, if you carry matchstick, you carry a gallon of fuel, you're going to set places ablaze, the security, or you want to go to the bank, you want to break into the bank, or they are going to do the needful, because there are procedures.
Indeed.
There is areas, little weapon can be deployed. If you leave the group, you are now marching to barracks, you are now marching to bank, to bring down the bank.
The police won't watch you do that.
No, they won't watch you do that.
So the police is going to be as friendly as much as you're going to be peaceful. But in all of that, AIG, the titles aside all of these titles, you're a father, you're a Nigerian, you're one person who has been impacted with all of these developments as much as I have been. And because of that, I would want you to speak to the issues and share, your opinions, as well as bear your minds on these developments, and also your message to the protesters.
Well, it takes every person to build a country. First of all, security is every man's business. Our Nigeria must rise. And for Nigeria to rise, all of us have a role to play for Nigeria to rise. You have every right to express the way you feel, but show restraint. Don't be violent. Respect the right of the other person. Everybody is entitled to hold his own divergent view. Of course, most societies are polarized, but that shouldn't be a source of conflict. It should be the strengths, the different strengths we have, we should put together. let us, you want to have peaceful protest to send a message to government. It shouldn't go beyond that. Don't think about regime. There are periods for election. When that time comes, get your voter's card, go and vote for the candidate of your choice. But right now, let us join hands, support government, and tell government where government is doing well, and tell them where they are not doing well.
Right.
But let us talk to each other that our country is too important. Sudan started with peaceful protests. Kenya, they were demonstrating against tax. Now, Ruto must go. Let us define what we want. Let us not allow any unscrupulous or disgruntled individual to lead us to violence.
Indeed. Thank you so much, AIG Wilson Inalegwu, sharing perspectives on the developments, especially as it relates to the End Bad Governance protest that is coming, that is forthcoming indeed. Thank you so much, sir. And we definitely hope to have you again to discuss more issues.
Thank you so much.
Yes, that has